My name is Player A. I'm just one of millions who spend hours exploring the endless worlds of Roblox, where every day is a new adventure and every game is a chance to become someone else. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. My friends and I love Roblox, 26 of us from Player A to Player Z. We're a tight-knit group, always on the lookout for the next big challenge, the next secret map, or the rarest badge. We've played every game mode you can imagine, from obstacle courses to survival games, and we thought we'd seen it all. But then, out of nowhere, something strange happened. As we were hanging out in our favorite lobby, a mysterious pop-up appeared on all our screens at the exact same moment. The message was simple, but it sent chills down my spine. Do you want to play a new game? A secret game? It is called the Octopus Games. We all stared at the message. Our curiosity instantly piqued. Who could resist a secret game? Without even thinking, we all clicked yes at the same time, our hearts pounding with excitement and a little bit of fear. Instantly, our screens went black. There was a strange, echoing whoosh like being sucked into a tunnel. For a split second, it felt like we were falling through the digital void, weightless and out of control. Then, everything changed. When the world came back into focus, we found ourselves standing on a massive metal platform, suspended high above churning ocean waves. The air was cold and salty, and a thin mist clung to the ground, swirling around our feet. It felt so real, like we'd actually been transported inside the game. Above us, a giant mechanical octopus hung from the ceiling, its red eyes glowing like warning lights in the darkness. Its metal tentacles twitched and shifted, casting long shadows across the platform. The sight was both mesmerizing and terrifying. Suddenly, a booming voice echoed all around us, coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. The octopus's mouth opened and the words thundered out, "Welcome, players! Welcome to the Octopus Games! You have been chosen. You will play 6 games. The rules are simple. Survive. The last player standing wins." The words flashed across a giant metal screen, making it clear that this was no ordinary competition. The stakes were higher than anything we'd ever faced before. We looked at each other, our excitement quickly turning to nervousness. Was this just an elaborate prank? Or had we stumbled into something much more dangerous? The usual Roblox fun was gone. Now we were scared, and none of us wanted to admit it. I could see the fear in my friends' eyes. Some tried to joke, but their voices shook. Others just stared at the ground, gripping their controllers tightly. We all realized in that moment that we might not all make it out together. Suddenly, a huge screen lit up above us, displaying all our faces in neat rows. In bold letters it read, "Players remaining, 26." It was a chilling reminder that this was a competition, and only one of us could win. The octopus's voice thundered again, louder than before, "Let the first game begin!" The platform shook beneath our feet, and the tension in the air was almost unbearable. A giant metal arm extended from the ceiling, pointing toward a massive door at the edge of the platform. With a loud metallic creak, the door slid open, revealing a blinding white light beyond. The light was so bright it hurt our eyes, but we knew we had no choice. If we wanted to survive, we had to move forward. One by one, we stepped toward the doorway, our shadows stretching out behind us. We walked single file into the unknown, our hearts pounding with fear and anticipation. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the game itself was testing our courage. I glanced back at my friends, knowing that our big group was about to get much, much smaller. The thought made my stomach twist. Would we all make it through, or would the Octopus Games tear us apart? The Octopus Games had begun, and there was no turning back. The mechanical octopus watched us with its unblinking red eyes, as if daring us to survive its twisted challenges. We took a deep breath, gripped our controllers, and prepared ourselves for whatever came next. Ready or not, we had to play. We stepped into a cavernous, shadowy chamber, the air thick with tension and the floor slick beneath our feet. Every step echoed, amplifying our nervousness as we realized this was no ordinary game room. The walls seemed to close in, and the only light came from the shimmering reflections on the wet ground. Suspended above us, hundreds of glowing mechanical jellyfish drifted silently, their neon tendrils casting eerie patterns across the room. Their movements were hypnotic, yet menacing, as if they were waiting for a signal to strike. Suddenly a massive octopus appeared on a digital screen, its eyes blinking with artificial intelligence. Its voice boomed, "The first game is Jellyfish Freeze. When the song plays, dance. When it stops, freeze. If you move, a jellyfish will zap you." The rules were simple, but the stakes felt impossibly high. The speakers crackled to life, unleashing a tune that was both cheerful and unsettling. The melody bounced around the room, but underneath it was a sinister undertone that made our skin crawl. We started to dance, our movements stiff and awkward. Every eye darted nervously, watching the jellyfish above. Some players tried to smile, but fear was written all over our faces. The tension was electric. No one wanted to be the first to slip up. Then without warning, the music cut out. The silence was deafening. I froze instantly, barely daring to breathe, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it. Every muscle in my body locked in place, desperate not to move a single inch. The jellyfish began to scan the room, their lights sweeping over us like searchlights. I could feel their gaze, cold and mechanical, analyzing every twitch and tremor. Suddenly player G wobbled, just a tiny movement, but it was enough. Zap! A blinding flash, and he vanished without a sound. The scoreboard updated. Players remaining, 25. The music resumed, but now the fear was even more real. We danced again, but this time every step was more hesitant, every glance more anxious. The room felt colder, the jellyfish more threatening. Each of us was hyper-aware of our own movements, terrified of making a mistake. On the next freeze, disaster struck. Player H and Player 1 collided mid-step, their eyes wide with panic as they realized what had happened. Zap! Zap! In an instant, both were gone. The scoreboard dropped again, players remaining, 23. The room grew emptier, the stakes higher, the game pressed on. Music, dance, freeze, over and over. Each round felt longer, the silences more suffocating. The jellyfish never tired, never blinked, always watching. With every round, more friends disappeared, leaving empty spaces on the dance floor, and a growing sense of dread. The group was shrinking and the pressure was mounting. I forced myself to focus, becoming a statue every time the music stopped. My mind raced, but my body stayed perfectly still, determined not to be the next to go. The scoreboard numbers kept dropping, each elimination a reminder of how close I was to losing. I knew I had to survive no matter what. The game was far from over, and the jellyfish were still watching. Only 15 of us remained. We entered a sandy beach world, but it was no vacation. The octopus's voice boomed, "Welcome to Tidal Tag! Sea creatures will chase you, don't get tagged! When the horn blows, run to high ground or the tide will get you!" Giant crabs, fast starfish, and squids shot ink as they chased us. We ran, screaming. Player J was caught by a crab, gone. Players remaining 14. Chaos everywhere. Suddenly, honk! The tide was coming. A massive wave formed. We sprinted for the rocks. Player K and Player L were too slow, washed away. Players remaining, 12. I scrambled up the rocks, heart pounding. Only a few of us made it. The sea creatures retreated. We were safe for now. We waited, shaken, for the next horror. 10 of us left. The next room was a grid of slimy green squares, some safe, some deadly. The octopus announced, "This game is the jellyfish floor. Cross the room. Some squares are safe, some are not." Player M bravely stepped forward, found a safe square, then a bad one, snatched by a tentacle. Gone. We realized it was a memory game. Remember the safe path. Player N tried, made it a few steps, then vanished. My turn. I followed the remembered path, guessing at the end. Safe. One by one we crossed. Some made it, some didn't. Player O and Player P were taken by tentacles. Our group was shrinking fast. 6 of us survived. We entered a room high above a tank of sharks. 3 wobbly planks led to the other side. The octopus. 2 planks will break, only one is safe. Player Q went first, chose the left plank, it broke. Sharks swarmed. Gone. Players remaining, 5. Now only the middle and right planks remain. Player R and Player S argued, then ran at the same time. Middle plank broke, Player R gone. Player S made it, the rest of us followed the right plank, hearts pounding. Only 4 of us were left. 4 of us entered a giant glass tank, filled with massive sea creatures. At the bottom, a glowing pearl. The octopus. Only 3 can advance. Swim down and grab the pearl. Last to touch it is out. We jumped in. The creatures ignored us. The real danger was the race. Player T reached the pearl first, then Player U, then me. Player S, terrified of deep water, fell behind. I touched the pearl just before her. Safe! A whirlpool pulled Player S down. Gone. Players remaining, 3. Down to the final 3, me, Player T, and Player U. We stepped onto a rusty boat floating on bubbling toxic water. The octopus. Final game, fight, push your opponents off. Last one on the deck wins. If time runs out, everyone loses. The timer started 10 minutes. We hesitated. We'd survived together, but now we were enemies. Player T was strong, Player U was clever, and I was careful. The clock ticked. No one moved. Finally, Player T charged at Player U. She dodged. He nearly fell. I saw a stack of barrels and had an idea. The final battle had begun. The fight was on. Player T charged at me. I ran, dodging around the mast and ropes. Player U watched, planning. The timer ticked down. Pressure mounted. Player T cornered me at the edge. "It's over, Player A," he shouted. He lunged, but Player U kicked a barrel into his legs. He tumbled off the boat into the toxic water. Gone. Players remaining. 2. Now it was just me and Player U. We circled each other, searching for an opening. The boat tilted. Toxic water splashed onto the deck, making it slippery. Player U slid, trying to push me. I jumped onto crates, spotted a rope tied to a heavy anchor above her. I had a crazy idea. The clock ticked down. 2 minutes left. My heart pounded in my chest as I leaped toward the mast, adrenaline surging through my veins. The salty wind whipped at my face, stinging my eyes, but I didn't hesitate. I reached for the thick, rough rope, my fingers trembling as I fumbled with the knot. Every second felt like an eternity. I could hear the frantic shouts of the other players behind me, but I forced myself to focus. With a final tug, the knot came loose. The anchor, now free, swung wildly across the deck, its heavy metal scraping and clanging against the wood. The sudden shift in weight sent the entire boat lurching to one side, tilting dangerously close to the churning toxic water below. I struggled to keep my balance as the world seemed to spin around me. Both of us lost our footing and slid uncontrollably toward the edge, the slick deck offering no grip. The water below glowed an eerie green, bubbling and hissing as if hungry for its next victim. I could feel the panic rising in my throat as we skidded closer and closer to the edge. At the last possible moment, I managed to grab the mast, wrapping my arms around it with all my strength. My knuckles turned white as I held on for dear life. Player U, just inches away, reached out desperately, but the momentum was too much. She slid past me, unable to stop herself. She screamed, a sound that cut through the chaos as she tumbled over the edge and disappeared into the toxic sea. In an instant, she was gone, swallowed by the swirling green water. The deck was suddenly eerily quiet, the only sound my own ragged breathing. Silence fell over the boat. The digital timer on the deck flashed and stopped at 48 seconds. A message appeared in bold, glowing letters. Winner, Player A. I stood alone, the last one left, my hands still shaking from the ordeal. I had survived the octopus games, but as I looked around at the empty deck, I didn't feel like a winner. The victory felt hollow, the silence heavy with everything I'd just witnessed. I wondered if the others would ever return, or if I'd always remember their faces in that final moment. Suddenly, the world around me flickered and went black. For a moment I was suspended in darkness, unsure if I was awake or still trapped in the game. Then, just as quickly, the darkness faded, and I found myself back in my Roblox room, the familiar digital walls glowing softly. All my friends were there, cheering and shouting my name. Their faces were full of excitement and relief, and for the first time since the game began, I felt a wave of comfort wash over me. They rushed to my side, hugging me and laughing, their voices filling the room with joy. "You did it, Player A! You won!" they exclaimed, their eyes wide with admiration. I could hardly believe it myself. The tension and fear of the last challenge still lingered, but their support made it feel a little less real. Suddenly, a digital message popped up on the screen. "Congratulations, winner! Your prize, 1 million Robux and the Octopus King crown." The room erupted in cheers again, and I felt a strange mix of pride and disbelief. I had made it through, but at what cost? I was happy to see my friends, to be safe and surrounded by people who cared about me. But deep down, I knew I'd never forget the octopus games. The danger, the fear, and the choices I'd had to make. The memory would stay with me, a reminder of how quickly everything can change. And as I stared at my computer screen, I promised myself I'd never, ever click on a secret invitation again. Some games just aren't worth playing, no matter what the prize.